The wind was sharp like knives on Carta 7, a cold mining world at the edge of the galaxy. The night was dark, the stars far and quiet. Snow fell from the red sky like dust. Jace Thorne, a human man in his 30s, walked through the market with his coat pulled tight. He had not eaten in 2 days. His stomach growled, but he kept walking. His boots were cracked, and his hands were numb. In his pocket, he had only 1 credit. Just 1. He looked around. Alien vendors shouted, trying to sell hot soup, old tech, or dry boots. Everything cost more than 1 credit. Jace sighed. 1 credit can't buy much, he muttered. But maybe enough for bread. As he turned the corner, he saw something strange. An alien woman sitting alone on the ground, shivering. Her skin was pale blue, her silver hair long and messy. She wore thin robes, torn and dirty. Her hands were wrapped around her knees, trying to stay warm. People passed by and did not look at her. Some stared, then turned away. 1 vendor even kicked snow in her direction. Jace stopped. Something pulled at his heart. She looked up at him. Her eyes were big and green, glowing faintly. But there was no hope in them, only sadness. She looked like she had already given up. Jace walked to a small stall and saw a blanket hanging there. Old, but thick. The vendor, a short alien with 4 eyes, grunted. 1 credit, he said. Jace looked at the blanket, then looked back at the woman. He touched his pocket. No food? He asked. The vendor shook his head. Blanket only. Jace stood still. He could buy food and survive the night, or give away the only thing he had left. He took the credit from his pocket and gave it to the vendor. I'll take the blanket. The vendor looked surprised but handed it over. Jace walked back to the alien woman. She did not speak, only watched him. He gently placed the blanket over her shoulders. Her body flinched at first, then relaxed. She pulled the blanket close and whispered, almost too soft to hear, "Thank you." Jace smiled, even though his lips were cracked. "You're welcome." She looked at him carefully. "Why?" she asked. "Because you looked colder than me," he said. He turned and walked away, into the dark market. Later that night, Jace returned to his tiny room above a junk shop. The heater was broken again. He lay on the cold bed, his stomach empty. He didn't regret the choice. He thought of her glowing green eyes and how the blanket had warmed her. That was worth more than food. As he closed his eyes, he heard a soft knock at the door. He stood up quickly. Who would visit him now? He opened the door. No one was there, but on the ground was a small metal box. Inside was hot soup and a soft piece of bread. A folded note sat on top. He opened the note. Kindness must be returned. Solari. He stared at the note. Solari. He whispered, so that's her name. The next day, the snow had stopped, but the cold stayed. Jace walked through the market again, hoping to find work. But most shops had no need for help. The sky was gray, and people moved fast, trying not to freeze. As he passed the same corner from the night before, the alien woman was gone. He kept walking until he saw her. Solari was waiting near the fire pit in the center of the square. She stood tall now, with the blanket wrapped around her like a cloak. She looked cleaner, stronger, but her eyes still held sadness. When she saw Jace, she smiled gently. I wanted to thank you again, she said. You already did, Jace said, nodding at the soup. She stepped closer. People don't help strangers here. Not unless they want something. I didn't want anything, Jace said. Just didn't want you to freeze. She looked at him for a long time. My husband is dead. My home is gone. I have nothing, Jace shrugged. Then we're the same. A cold wind blew between them. Still for a moment, the world felt warmer. Maybe, she said, but I remember kindness. And I repay debts. Jace was about to speak when someone shouted from across the square. There she is, the widow, get her. 3 alien men rushed forward. Solari grabbed Jace's arm. Her voice was calm but firm. Run. Asterisk, the snow on Carta 7 was falling harder. The next day, but Jace didn't feel it. His mind was stuck on one thing, her voice, firm and low, telling him to run. They had escaped through the maze of back alleys, silent and fast. Solari moved like someone who had run before. Jace didn't ask questions. He just followed her. When they reached an old cargo bay, she finally stopped. They hid behind a stack of broken droid parts. Solari sat with her back against the cold wall, breathing slowly. Her eyes were alert, watching the door, like she expected someone to burst in at any second. Jace sat across from her, wiping snow off his jacket. Who were they? Solari didn't answer right away. Her eyes flicked up to meet his. There was a pause, heavy like silence before a storm. "They're looking for me," she said. Jace waited for more. She didn't speak. "Why?" he asked. "I'll tell you, but not here." He nodded. Something inside him told him not to push. She wasn't just any widow. That much was clear now. Later, after the sky darkened, Solari led Jace to a safer place, a storage tunnel under the old train station. She moved through the dark like she had memorized every corner of the city. The tunnel was quiet, dusty, and warmer than the streets. Jace lit a small lamp and shared the last of his water dot. She sat close now, the blanket still wrapped around her. Her hands, thin and marked with faint blue lines, were shaking slightly. "My husband was a scientist," she said. "He worked for the Carta Union during the war. He made things. Dangerous things." Jace leaned forward. "Weapons?" She nodded. "They didn't want to kill him. They wanted what he made. After he died, they came for me. They think I know where he hid it, do you?" "Yes." That word hung in the air. Heavy, sharp. Jace didn't speak for a moment. He was just a man trying to survive in the cold, and now he was sitting next to a target. But something inside him didn't want to walk away. Solari looked at him carefully. "I've been hiding for a long time, alone. Then you gave me warmth. No one has done that for me since he died. I didn't expect anything back. But I owe you anyway." Jace smiled softly. "You already gave me soup." She smiled back, but it faded quickly. Her face turned serious. "They won't stop. They'll come again. More of them, stronger. So what now? I leave this planet. I find a place they can't reach. You have a plan?" "No, only the crystal." Jace frowned. "Crystal?" Solari reached into the lining of her blanket. Her fingers pulled out a small, smooth crystal, no bigger than a thumb. It glowed faintly, the same color as her eyes. "This holds everything he made. Blueprints, codes, maps. It's locked with my DNA." Jace stared at it. He could feel the power in it, even if he didn't understand. People would kill for that. They already have. She tucked it away again and looked at him. "You helped me when I had nothing. I trust you now. But you should leave. This isn't your fight." Jace stood up and walked to the edge of the tunnel. He looked at the snow blowing past the cracks in the wall. Carta 7 was always cold, always cruel. And for the first time in years, someone trusted him with something big, something dangerous. He turned back to her. "I'm not going anywhere." Solari's eyes softened. "You don't have to do this." "Yes, I do," Jace said. "Because now they're after both of us." Outside, the wind howled louder. Far away, boots echoed in the market above. They didn't have much time, but something had changed. Jace wasn't just surviving anymore. Now he had a reason, and her name was Solari. The silence didn't last long. Jace heard them before he saw them, distant footsteps, heavy and fast, moving through the upper corridors like hunting dogs sniffing out a trail. Solari stood up without a word. She didn't panic. She simply moved, fast and quiet, grabbing her satchel and checking the crystal hidden inside. Jace grabbed his coat and followed her. He didn't ask where they were going. He didn't need to. He just knew they had to move. They slipped through the side tunnels, past old pipes and broken lights. The smell of oil and dust filled the air. The station had been abandoned for years, but now it felt alive with danger. Jace caught her hand. As they turned a corner, "Do you know who they are?" She nodded. "They call themselves the Black Veil, not a gang. Not soldiers, just hunters. They work for whoever pays most." He cursed under his breath. That meant no rules. No mercy. One of the old doors was still working. Solari used a code on a small metal pad, and the door slid open with a tired hiss. Inside was a forgotten warehouse filled with metal crates and shattered drones. She stopped behind one crate, catching her breath. "They don't want me alive," she said. "They only want what's inside me." Jace looked around. "Then we need to leave Carta 7. Now. I've tried. The ports are watched. Every ID I use gets flagged. We'll find a way," Jace said. "We'll get off this rock. Together." She looked at him again, and for a moment, something soft passed. Between them, something unspoken, but clear. In a world that had given them nothing, they had somehow found each other. A loud crash broke the moment. The far wall exploded inward, and two masked figures stormed into the warehouse. Black armor, red visors, and long rifles. No words. Just death in motion. Jace pulled Solari down behind the crates. A blast scorched the air above them. He grabbed a metal rod from the floor, barely a weapon, but it was something. Solari's voice was calm, even now. "They won't stop. If they get the crystal, more will come." "More death," he glanced at her. "Then let's make sure they don't get it." She pulled something from her satchel. It looked like a small sphere, pulsing with blue light. Jace blinked. "What's that?" "A gift from my husband," she whispered. "Last resort." She pressed it and threw it toward the attackers. It hit the ground, flashed once, and released a deep hum. The hunters froze, their suits locking up. They fell like statues, unable to move. Jace stared. "What did that do?" "EMP pulse. Only. Works once." Jace didn't waste time. He ran to the nearest exit and waved her forward. They climbed a rusted ladder, pushed through a vent, and emerged into the cold night. The city lights flickered in the distance, blurred by falling snow. They didn't stop running until they reached the edge of the district. Jace leaned against a wall, gasping. "We need a ship. Off-world. Anything that flies." Solari didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on a man standing across the street. He was tall, wearing a black coat and holding a scanner. He turned slowly toward them. Solari's breath caught. "He's one of them." Jace pulled her behind a pile of crates. The man didn't move, but his eyes scanned the area like a predator. Then, to their surprise, he turned and walked away. "Why didn't he chase us?" Jace asked. Solari's voice was almost a whisper. "Because he doesn't need to," Jace frowned. "What do you mean?" "They've tagged me." He looked at her in shock. "They have a trace. My blood, my heat, my steps. They always know where I am. Unless I find something that blocks it." Jace ran a hand through his hair. "Then we need to find it fast." Solari looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, past the frozen clouds, were ships. Planets, freedom. But between them and escape was an army with no faces, no names, and no pity. Jace reached out and touched her shoulder. "We'll make it. I promise." Solari looked at him, and for the first time, her voice cracked just a little. "You should have walked away when you gave me that blanket." He smiled. "I think that blanket warmed more than just your body." For a second, she almost smiled back. But the cold wind reminded them both the night was far from over, and the real fight was just beginning. The ship was supposed to be old, but working. Nothing fancy, just enough to get them off Carta 7 and into open space. Jace had paid with everything he had left. No papers, no names. Just a quiet deal with a silent pilot, who wore dark goggles and didn't ask questions. They climbed into the ship before sunrise. The hangar was empty, cold, and full of shadows. Solari didn't speak. She kept her hand near the small hidden pouch where the crystal rested, tucked close to her skin dot as the ship rose from the frozen planet. Jace looked through the window and felt something heavy leave his chest. Snow turned into clouds, clouds into stars. They had escaped. He leaned back and closed his eyes, just for a second. A second too long. The engines cut out with a sudden groan. The ship jerked, alarms screamed, and the walls flashed red. The pilot was gone. Jace ran to the front and saw the seat empty, the controls locked, blinking a strange code he couldn't read. The ship tilted violently. Solari, hold on. She braced herself as the ship spun out of control. The stars vanished. A dry planet filled the window. Red, cracked, endless dot, then dash impact dot. They didn't crash so much as slam into the ground, and roll. Fire and smoke swallowed the world. Jace blacked out halfway through the fall. When he woke up, everything was quiet. Too quiet. The sky above him was yellow, not blue. His body ached, but he was alive. He turned his head slowly. Solari was beside him, blood on her forehead but breathing. She opened her eyes and whispered, "Trap." Jace helped her sit up. Around them, sand stretched in every direction. Sharp red rocks cut into the horizon. Like broken teeth, the ship was broken in two, and the pilot was gone. He checked supplies. 2 flasks of water, a broken scanner, and a half-dead cum chip. Solari looked at the sky. "We landed in the wastes of Grelther." "Sounds friendly," Jace muttered. "It's not. This place eats people." They moved slowly, walking under the burning sun. The ground was dry and hot under their boots. Their shadows followed long behind them, like ghosts dot by night. The wind screamed like it was alive. They found shelter in an old rusted freighter half buried in the sand. Jace made a small fire. Solari sat across from him, eyes closed, hands folded. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Just tired. Using the crystal, it drains me." "You used it during the crash?" "I tried. I slowed the fall. A little." Jace stared at her, this alien woman full of mystery and danger, who had somehow become the only person he trusted in the galaxy. He handed her water. She took it, then said something soft. "I dreamt of you." Jace blinked. "Me? I don't dream often. But in the cold, before you came, I saw a man with kind eyes, giving me light." He didn't know what to say to that. So he just nodded. They slept in shifts, but something was wrong. Jace could feel it. A pressure in the air, like being watched. In the middle of the night, he saw movement outside, shapes in the dark. He grabbed the metal rod again. "Solari, wake up." She opened her eyes, instantly alert. Her hand reached for the crystal dot figures. Circled the freighter. They were fast, thin, and wrapped in cloth sand raiders. Bandits. Not as high-tech as the Black Veil, but just as deadly. One of them shouted in a dry, crackling voice, "Hand over the blue one. We know what she carries." Jace stepped in front of her. "You want her, you go through me." The raider laughed. "Easy, human. We just want the stone. We'll even leave you a limb." They charged. Jace fought like a man with nothing to lose. He swung, kicked, dodged, bled. But they were too many. Then Solari stood up. Her eyes glowed like stars. She placed her hand on the sand. The ground shook. Blue light surged out from beneath her, cracking through the earth in a pulse. Machines hidden deep in the old freighter woke up with a scream of metal. A turret popped from the sand and fired. The raiders didn't expect that. They scattered. Silence returned. Solari fell to her knees. Weak but alive. Jace rushed to her. "You." "Okay," she smiled faintly. That was all I had left. He held her close. They sat there in the wreckage, under a broken sky. surrounded by silence. Jace didn't know where the next step would lead, but he knew one thing now. He wasn't leaving her behind. Not now, not ever. The stars above the desert were too bright. Cold light, sharp and distant, far from the warmth Jace wished for. Solari hadn't moved in over an hour. Her breathing was slow but steady. He kept his arms around her, pressing her body close to his, trying to keep her warm even though the heat from the wreck was long gone. The energy pulse she had released had burned through everything she had left. Even her glow had faded. He looked around. Nothing but silence and black sand. The turret that saved them had powered down. The bandits were gone, but they'd return. Jace knew that. Raiders always came back for what they couldn't take the first time. He ran a hand through her hair, gently brushing away dust and blood. "You saved us again," he whispered. Her lips parted. Barely a sound. "Foolish," she breathed. "I could have killed you with that surge." "You didn't." "I could have." Jace smiled softly. "I'd rather die next to you than live without you." She looked at him through tired eyes. "You're strange, even for a human." "I get that a lot." They sat in silence until the sun broke the edge of the desert. The heat returned fast and harsh. Jace stood slowly and helped Solari to her feet. "We need to move," he said, "before someone else finds us." "Where?" she asked. "I saw smoke last night, maybe 2 hours east." "Could be a settlement." She nodded, even though her legs shook. He took her hand, and they walked. The journey was slow. The sun burned. Sand blew into their mouths, their eyes. Jace gave Solari most of the water. She didn't argue, but her eyes told him she knew what he was doing. By the time they reached the edge of the smoke trail, Jace could barely see straight. The land dipped into a canyon where broken towers rose like teeth. A small outpost. Old. Tech. Maybe miners once lived there. Now only silence. He helped Solari into a half-standing building, what used to be a tower. There was shade, cracked walls, and even a working vent fan blowing weak, cool air. Solari collapsed onto the floor. Jace searched every corner. Found a medical kit. Faded, dusty, but real. He cleaned her cuts. Gave her water. When she finally slept, he looked at her face and saw something different. Not fear. Not pain. Peace. And something warm stirred in his chest, dangerous and quiet. He sat beside her, too tired to sleep. He didn't notice when the door opened. The shadow stepped in without sound. A woman, human. Tall, dark jacket, chrome arm. She raised a hand slowly. "Easy, I'm not here to shoot." Jace reached for his rod anyway. The woman smirked. "Relax. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead already." "Who are you?" he asked. "Name's Vex," she said. "I used to run jobs with you, remember? Station 9, the frozen vault. You owed me a drink." Jace blinked. He did remember, just barely. "What are you doing out here?" "Looking for you," she said. Her eyes flicked to Solari. "And her," Jace stood. "If you're here to take her," Vex raised both hands. "I'm not with the Black Veil. I'm not after the crystal. I'm here because you're in deep, Jace. And you're running out of time." He studied her. She didn't look like a bounty hunter. Too calm. Too direct. "I can get you off this planet," she said. "But it won't be easy, and I'll need your help." Solari stirred behind him. She opened her eyes. "She's telling the truth." Vex glanced at her, surprised. "You read minds." "Too. Just eyes," Solari said quietly. "Yours don't lie." Vex chuckled. "Well, good. Then we move fast." Jace looked at Solari. She nodded. Weak but ready. He turned back to Vex. "All right," he said. "Tell us the plan." She grinned. "We break into Sky City." Jace blinked. "You're insane." "Maybe," she said. "But it's the only place left that has a ship fast enough, clean enough, and untraceable." "And how do we get in?" Vex smiled wider. "We fake a prisoner transfer." One human, one alien, one valuable cargo. Solari's eyes darkened. You mean me? Vex shrugged. You want to live, don't you? Jace didn't like it. But he knew the truth that it was either risk everything or die in the desert, forgotten. He looked at Solari, then at the sky. Sky City, a place of lights and power and secrets. Then we go, he said. And we don't stop until we're free. Solari reached for his hand. I'm with you, she whispered. To the end. Sky City floated like a dream over the dead sands. From below, it looked like a jewel in the sky-bright towers. Blinking lights, silver walls shining in the sun. But Jace knew better. It was no paradise. It was a fortress. Vex's plan moved fast. Too fast. They reached the security gate in a stolen skimmer. Jace driving, Solari hidden in the back, chains wrapped loosely around her wrists. The guards scanned his forged ID. It held. Vex had done her job well. Inside, the city smelled of clean metal and cold air. No wind, no dust. Just control. Everything too perfect. Vex led them down tight hallways, speaking low and fast. There's a contact inside, name's Rin. He has access to hangar codes. Get to him, and we're out before they know what happened. Solari stayed quiet. Her eyes scanned every face, every camera. Jace felt her body tense under the loose chains. She hated pretending to be caught. He hated watching her play helpless, but it was working. They reached the contact point, an old maintenance room near the port. Rin was already waiting. Short, pale, with strange eyes that never blinked. You're late, he said. We're alive. Vex replied, that's what counts. Rin looked at Solari. Is that her? Jace stepped between them. She's not a thing. She's with me, Rin smirked. Sure, with you. Right up until the highest bidder makes a better offer. Something about that smile made Jace uneasy. Rin walked to the console. Give me the crystal. I need it to open the gate. Solari hesitated. Jace looked at her. She shook her head once, very slightly. No, Jace said. Rin's smile vanished. Excuse me? We hand over the crystal when the ship is fueled. And ready, not before. Vex stepped in. Let's not fight now, but it was too late. Rin pulled a small blaster from his coat and aimed it at Jace. You think I brought you here to help you? He said, you're nothing but a delivery system. All I needed was for her to walk into this city. Solari moved faster than Jace thought possible. The chains dropped. Her hand went to Rin's wrist and twisted hard. The gun fell, Rin screamed. Jace punched him. Hard. Vex grabbed the console and slammed the button. Doors slammed shut. Red lights flashed. We've got about 2 minutes before the guards arrive, she said. Grab the crystal and move. Jace pulled Solari up. You okay? She nodded. I knew this would happen. They ran down the hallway, past workers and guards and blinking signs. Alarms now. Voices shouting. They reached the hangar. A single sleek ship sat on the pad, doors open, engine warming. Vex ran to the controls. Get her aboard. She shouted. Jace helped Solari up the ramp. She stumbled once, but caught herself. Blaster fire rang out. Rin, blood on his face, had returned with 2 guards. Jace fired back, covering Vex and Solari. As they climbed inside, the ship lifted. Sky City grew smaller behind them. Jace slumped into a seat, breathing hard, bleeding from his arm. But they had done it. They were off the ground. He turned to Solari, who sat quietly, hands shaking. I thought. We lost it all, he said. She looked at him with wet eyes. So did I. Vex turned from the pilot seat. We're not safe yet. They'll chase us. But for now, we're out. Jace nodded. He reached for Solari's hand. She didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned against his shoulder. I'm tired of running, she whispered. We'll stop, he said. Soon. She looked at him, tired but smiling. Thank you for choosing me. Again and again, Jace smiled back. Always. Outside, stars stretched wide, but behind them, Sky City burned. The stars were quiet now. The chase was over. For 3 days they stayed hidden in the outer lanes, far from trade routes and patrol ships. The new ship was fast, smooth, silent. Vex stayed at the controls, checking systems and scanning for threats. Jace and Solari barely left each other's side. She slept more now. Not from weakness, but peace. For the first time since Jace met her on that freezing street, she wasn't running. He sat beside her on the floor of the crew cabin. No words, just the warmth of her shoulder against his. Her fingers traced the edge of his sleeve. Every small touch said what words couldn't, but peace never lasted. On the 4th night, a ship appeared on long-range scan. Black, silent, and fast. Vex slammed her hand against the console. They found us, same engine signature as the Black Veil. Jace stood. How? Solari's voice was calm. The crystal. It's not just a weapon, it's a beacon. They've been using it to track me. Always. Jace looked at her. Then we destroy it. She looked at him like she already knew he'd say that. You know what that means? I don't care, he said. I care about you, not the tech. Not the war. You. She held his gaze. If we destroy it, we stop running. But the message inside it dies with it. He didn't hesitate. Then it dies. The enemy ship was almost on them now. Vex shouted from the front. We've got 2 minutes before they board. Decide now. Solari stood slowly. She pulled the crystal from her chest pouch. It pulsed blue in her hand, bright and alive. The last piece of her husband. The last piece of the life she lost. She turned to Jace. Will you do it with me? He stepped forward. Together. They placed it between them on the floor. Solari took a breath. Jace took her hand. She closed her eyes, whispered something. In her language soft musical dot, the crystal blinked faster. Then dimmed dot, then shattered. A wave of cold air filled the room. And then nothing dot, silence dot on the screen. The chasing ship paused. Slowed. Turned away. Vex stared in shock. They're leaving. Jace let out a long breath. Solari leaned into him, tired but smiling. They can't trace us anymore, she said. It's over. They didn't speak for a long time after that. Days passed. The ship drifted beyond the edge of known space. Vex finally dropped them off on a small green moon where no ships came. No war reached, and no bounty was worth chasing. It was peaceful. Warm air. Quiet fields. Nights full of fireflies. Jace built a small home with his own hands. Solari planted flowers, learned the names of the stars in his language, and taught him songs from hers. At night, they slept close. Her skin was cool, his warm. Perfect balance. One evening, as the red sun dipped below the hills, Solari took his hand and placed it over her heart. This place. This life, she said softly, is not something I ever dreamed I'd have again. Jace smiled, brushing a lock of silver hair from her face. You almost froze to death when I met you. I almost froze in more ways than one, she said. You gave me your last credit. And that blanket, it saved me. You saved me too, he whispered. She leaned into him, eyes full of something deeper than thanks. I was cold for so long, she said. Now, I warm your bed with love. Jace pulled her close, kissed her forehead, and held her until the stars came out. He didn't need credits anymore. He had her, and that was worth more than any galaxy could offer.